Hey guys, Styxius here. Just getting you a nice build video today, so let's get right started towards it. So the first piece I wear is my Spalder of Rune. It's a level set that reduces your recovery a bit, but gives 260 weapon spell damage to allies. Magma Incarnate to offset it a little bit, just a nice little bonus in that end. The Masters, because our back bar set's only one bard, so helps to give a little extra resistance and a heal. And the shield, you'll be able to see it pop up here. We run a flame glyph in case you run in Kratos, so that way you can use that as well if you're curious. I do decisive just for a little extra ulti gen because I really love ulti gen. Sturdy is a trait you'll be putting on all your gear, just a heads up. And I typically just put health enchantments on things. Tri-stat enchantments are extremely expensive right now, so it's not really something that I try to go for. Hopefully that kind of gets up for you guys, but the main benefit is the Spalder. The Magma Incarnate's just there to offset it. We're going to be going over the next batch of gear. Just let me know how you guys think of this new style of videos. I'm really trying to evolve the content here, so let me know. Our back bar set is Powerful Assault, which we run infused on all three pieces of jewelry with Magicka cost reduction, with an ice staff on the back bar with the Crusher enchantment. If you ever want to do Brittle, you switch that to a Frost enchantment. Our other set is Yolnahkrin, which I'll do the Tri-stat enchantments on the chest and legs. But outside of that, I just put health on all the small pieces. Of course, all of it's sturdy. Got to give that minor courage to the team. Gives the extra 215 weapon and spell damage. Really nice, alongside the Powerful Assault, giving a little over 300 of it. We'll be breaking down the math of that here in a little bit. But the nice benefit of these sets is it allows you to have a little bit more min-maxing in terms of your survivability, as well as the damage output of your team. With this setup, the Crusher alone, you could see a 5% increase in damage just from that enchantment alone, which is infused on the back bar. And you only need to hit your Powerful Assault on that bar to proc it. So then we just got a few pieces of gear that we're just going to touch over, so that way you can kind of go over them so you can see what I wear for those pieces. And of course, with it just being the girdle and the other two small pieces, I believe my legs here too, actually. So with that all just being health, that allows you to just be nice and bulky, get a little extra HP, especially because a lot of our skills as a Necromancer tank scale with our health, including our heals. So having the extra health does help benefit in our survivability just naturally. So that's kind of what we go about that. But enough about the sets. What I'd like to do, it's a little bit of a different take, but I would like to break down the math that goes into my build, so that we can kind of understand why I took the approach I did, especially if you run this in dungeons. So, let's ask the question, how much weapon and spell damage does this build provide your team? Spalder alone provides 260 weapon and spell damage. The minor courage from Yolnahkrin provides 215 weapon and spell damage, with the Powerful Assault providing you 307. At a baseline, because these all affect the base stats, this is going to increase your team's weapon and spell damage by 782. Now that's very handy just on its own. That's stronger than almost any one set could ever provide you. I think the only exception of that would be the Shows the Car set for stand-ins from Moongrave Fane. I think when I read from Inquisitor, you could get roughly 900 from that with that type of setup. But the one nice thing about this is once you get the major force or major brutality, and major sorcery and brutality in there, it bumps it up to around 1016.6, which are just round. The game, from my understanding, will just round it up to 117. They won't just keep that point value there, which that's already insane. That's 1,000 just from that. From you alone, you can provide over 1,000 weapon and spell damage there. That is insane. And if you have a healer providing major courage, the baseline jumps up to a staggering 1,575.6 weapon and spell damage. This does not include any class passives. One of them being, for example, the Sorcerer's passive, which for every sorcery ability they have slotted gives them 2% more on this. And any Fighter's Guild abilities increase this by an additional 3%. So this is just kind of touching base on a new method I'm wanting to try to explain the math behind these builds. I want you guys to be able to understand that just not when you're using them, like, oh cool, I got all these sets together. I kind of want you to also understand what is the maximum efficiencies that you're actually putting out there towards your team, because especially whether you're doing dungeons, you're doing trials, you're doing arenas, I love this setup. It's generally one of my favorites. And I think that you guys will appreciate it. So the next thing that I'm going to be touching base here soon in the near future is going to be talking about our other set options. Like, how would you set this up in case you didn't want to run these sets, or if you're running trials and your other tank is running? Well, we'll move on to that now. So the first one we're going to touch base on is the Styxius Champion set, which that set provides you with a 1k max magicka line, but the main benefit of it is the major force of 1 second for every 15 ultimates spent, not total. So if you have 500 ultimate, that's roughly about 32 seconds of major force that you provide. It's always great if you set this up to where like you have Jorvold's Horn from your Art Rojo and then Saxiel Colo. Works great. And if for whatever reason you are like OTing on like Locestes or just need extra pen for stamina group, you can replace PA with Crimson Oath's Rive, which is like Alkosh, but if it was made for tanks, so it's absolutely fantastic to have, providing you about 3,541 penetration to all enemies around you. For 15 seconds, it can proc every 12, so you can easily maintain 100% uptime. And with Elemental Catalyst, this one's a nice one. If you were ever to run this, you would just change your backbar enchantment from a Crusher to a Shock. And then you would run the Scalding Rune ground effect. We'll cover Scalding Rune later on. But this will provide your group about 15% more critical damage taken. So it will buff up their modifiers just a bit so you guys can get closer to that 125% crit damage cap. In general, it's not too stressful of a set to wear. It's a bit different, but it's not bad. I actually enjoy it at times, especially if you have a healer or tank covering the Crusher side of it, so you don't lose on running Elemental Catalyst, because you don't want to lose that Crusher. Crusher's a little too valuable to sacrifice just for EC, so if you're going to run it, make sure you have someone with Crusher. Way of Martial Knowledge is another set. It's a little bit more advanced, as you have to be able to essentially tank with half of your normal stamina, which is very stressful at times if you're not experiencing a trial. So don't bring this set to any trial that you're just learning. The thing that's nice about Martial Knowledge is it gives about, including its cooldown, you'll see about a 5% damage increase in total if you keep this up 100% of the time it could possibly proc. But every time you do proc it, let's then take 8% more damage for 5 seconds. All you need to do is just essentially light attack while below 50% stamina. What I try to do is when I'm wearing this and wearing PA, I'll just try to toggle. So like I'll block, keep my stamina 50%, and then if my stamina regens naturally a bit above 50% when I'm like doing my bar swaps, I'll make sure I hit an extra like Echoing Vigor or something to get that down a bit, so that way you can proc it again. That's just how I go about doing that. I mean, I love Martial Knowledge. I actually think it's really fun to use on a tank. But we have one more option for sets to cover, and it's your Spalder replacement. So, Kratos' Behemoth. This is why we have our Flame Enchant on our front bar, because honestly, our front bar enchantment does not matter. You can literally run whatever there. But the thing that's nice about Kratos' Behemoth is it just gives you 5% flame mitigation, as well as enemies take 5% more flame damage. And all you have to do with how its proc condition is just make sure you taunt every 15 seconds. Your taunt will proc your Flame Enchant, which will proc in Kratos. So, the next thing, jeez. The next thing we have to cover is going to be skills. Trying it in a different format, plus I really wanted to step it up for you guys as a content creator here. But let's get going with it. So the first skill we're going to be talking about is Overflowing Altar. This skill is very handy as it applies the minor lifesteal for all enemies as a debuff, and your allies can proc it every 1 second. So whenever your allies proc it, what it will do is it will heal them for a baseline 600 health every second, which granted if they have any passes, it'll help them. Beckoning Armor is our main form of Major Resolve. The nice thing about why I love Beckoning Armor is it produces a corpse for you, so once it expires you can gobble up another corpse. And every 3 seconds, if an enemy is ranged and hits you with a ranged ability, you'll chain pull them once every 3 seconds, so that helps out as well. With Spirit Guardian, this allows you to take 10% less damage while as long as it's active, and heals you every 2 seconds, or your lowest ally. Never complain. Elemental Drain. Sometimes you'll run this if you're doing like portals in VCR. just to apply the major breach and minor magic steal. Pierce armor is our main taunt. It gives a major and minor breach, which results in almost 9,000 penetration. It's almost an 18% damage increase, roughly. So it's fantastic. Inner Rage is our range taunt. It's fantastic to have. Just always remember that if you ever use this to taunt something, if you have the time, melee taunt them with Pierce armor. Empowering Grasp is a fantastic skill as it provides equal and power to all your allies as well as money to your enemies. Fantastic DPS increase. Elemental Blockade. This skill is how we're going to be proccing our main enchantments, debuffing our enemies. You always want to make sure you have this active, because even at the baseline, the fact that it does chip damage, it will constantly tick enemies down, alone is more than enough to want to run this. But the main thing that's nice about it is with how it operates, you'll be able to proc any enchantment on your back bar. Silver Leash. This is our chain pull, and as you can see, it creates this little white line that pulls things towards you. Necrotic Potency is our gobbling. This is how we eat up corpses and get things going. It's always important to be cycling those corpses, generating tons of ultimate. Hungry Scythe is our main form of self-healing. It's actually, I love this skill. The heal over time on top of the burst heal even rivals that of Green Dragon's Blood. Going back and doing more with my Dragonite tank, it's making me realize just how much better the self-healing on Necro is. Necro is amazing. And Hungry Scythe is the cherry on top. Balance is a fantastic skill in case you are doing OT on Asylum, as it allows you to give yourself the major resolve and a little bit of magicka, or you can't use it as frequently. Race Against Time is just for the major expedition and CC immunity. Pulsar, this is if you're ever running a brittle setup. If you're running a brittle setup, the nice thing about this is with just a charged ice staff and this, you can guarantee a brittle proc every 4 seconds just by casting it once. Really nice. Destructive Clench will also proc brittle, but it is if you're ever doing double ice staff. This would be the taunt you typically want to use, as it applies major maim, chilled, minor brittle, and taunts all at the same time. Revealing Flare. This is a fantastic skill to have just a slot on your bar. Never cast it. The major protection is good enough on its own. Crushing Chop. This skill is mainly used when you have a boss or target you need to constantly be interrupting. Using that allows you to really manage them. And Echoing Vicar. This is how you proc your PA. Heal your allies. It's great. Agony Totem. This is used in arenas mostly, so when enemies rush in, it gives us energy and stuns them. Scalding Rune. This is mainly you replace your Vigor with this when you're running Elemental Catalyst and its close. Your front bar ultimate is the renewing animation for the healing crit if not using it, and the Colo for its Colo, you know. Full image of my CP breakdown will be found in the description down below, involving my charts for other respects. These are general information charts, they are not absolute guidelines. You'll swap these in and out occasionally, but as a general rule of thumb, I love these charts and highly recommend them. So your main CPs for red is going to be Balanced Vitality, Fortified, Bracing Anchor, and Expert Evasion. I've recently been dropping Fortified for Celerity myself. And blue, you'll always just use Ironclad, Duelist Rebuff, Enduring Resolve, and Unassailable. I just haven't found a scenario where I would need to change from those. They're just too good. Now, on to the passives. In here, we have the names of every passive skill line you'll need, as well as a rank tier breakdown, essentially, for the races you could be for it. Make sure to get your Gravelord reusable parts. You don't really need the rest from that. You want all the passives from Bone Tyrant, Death Gleaning, Disdain Harm, Health Avarice, and Last Gasp. Living Death, you want your Curative Curse, Near Death Experience, Corpse Consumption, Undead, Confederate. Heavy Armor, you just want all the passives. Just Staff, I go for all the passives. Unarmed, I go for, unarmed. One-handed Shield, I go for all the passives. And Undaunted, I go for all the passives. And the only one you need from Alchemy is Medicinal Use. It helps a ton, and it really does not take long to get it. You essentially make a bunch of cheap pots, like Fleshfly Larva, and I think Spider Eggs is one that I commonly did. Or I usually just try to use Fleshfly Larva with something. You can do poisons as well to level it. But yeah, in terms of the races, Nord is the absolute best, with Argonian being slightly behind it, and Imperial being below that. The rest of them are small margins between them. The only one that really stands out, not having as much use, is the Wood Elf. But thank you guys. I really hope you enjoyed the content. I love you.
I'm tired of being what you want me to be, feeling so faithless.